I'm all for you, body and soul.
Joining me now is Mary Wilson, founding member of the Supremes. Mary is currently performing in New York City in an off-Broadway comedy, Grandma Sylvia's Funeral. And you play a Jewish person, is that right?
Well, not really. It was originally originated for a Jewish woman, yes. But Sherry Goldner originated the part. And when I took over her part for 6 weeks, I married into the family. So I am that type of...
So they don't call you Jewish they did a little rewrite when you came in?
Yes, to kind of make it suit me. But, I mean, I actually learned everything, you know, so I know more than anyone else in the family.
About Jewish stuff?
Oh, yes, I went to school, you know, I know Meshuggah, I know the whole...
Well, I mean, I would take you, when you walked there, I said, that's a Jewish girl coming
you know what I mean?
here.
Oh,
I
yes,
looked
darling.
at you.
But I didn't have my rings on, so I can't be too Jewish.
But it's amazing, when you walked in, I said, you know, I've been reading about you and everything, and you look like you, to me, having read about you, never met you, I would think this is Mary Wilson's daughter walking in here, because you've had some stuff.
No, is that a compliment?
Well, it is a compliment. It is a compliment because you had stuff happen, and which this is too short a segment to say what you've come through. This is just short enough to say it must have stung. You know, these kind of shows, you can say something like this, and then I'll say it must have stung when Barry Gordy said to you, "Oh, Mary, you know you can't sing." Oh. And it all comes off like patter in this kind of situation, but in life, it's like the knife is still in the side.
Well, you know, it's amazing. I'm a very sort of easygoing person, and we started off with 4 singers in the Primettes, and then we went to 3.
First called the Primettes. The
Primettes. And then when we went to Motown, Barry Gordy decided he wanted 1 lead singer, and we would have, Florence, Diane, and I would have been, you know, happy whomever he picked to do the one part. When you're that young, you're like, yes, sign me.
Anything.
And so he chose Diane to do the main lead, and we said, fine, as long as he's going to record us, who cares? Because we loved each other so much, so it really didn't matter. But it wasn't until maybe later in life when I started realizing, well, but all I'm singing is ooh, ooh, ooh. But I mean, I thought I was a star in the background. I thoroughly enjoyed what I was doing. But it did take me a long time to get over not being told that I couldn't sing. That's
Why would he say something like that to someone like you?
You know what?
Nice Jewish girl like yourself.
He didn't really mean it, I guess, that I couldn't sing. Is that my type of singing? I sing jazz, blues, and that's really what you can hear, this raspy voice.
Right.
What I really like to do. And at the time, in the 60s, I mean, that just was not the thing to do if you were going into the pop field. So Diane's voice was best suited.
You're calling her Diane. It was Diane at that time.
Well, I mean, do you have a brother or sister?
I have a brother.
And what do you call him?
I call him Jack.
You know, what is his real name?
Jack.
Jack.
Yeah.
Golly, he didn't fall for that one, did he? But, you know, so people get on me about that, and I said, it's really only because it's an endearing thing for me.
But you knew her as Diane? Was her name Diana?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what all her friends call her.
Oh, they do even now?
Yeah.
It's Diane.
Well, I don't know about now, but I'm talking about, you know, her family says Diane, you know.
It's Diane.
Yeah.
So, it became Diana.
Everyone's making a big issue of that, and I wrote about it as well in my book.
Next to a rock, you know, I think the Diana thing is something we have to come. We're gonna come up to a break. I'm gonna find out what this lady has been through before she became Jewish, and to still look this great is amazing. You dealt with abuse as a child from your aunt, where you were beaten over small things, and as a married person, you dealt with because we talk a lot about domestic violence here, and you have survived that as a child and as an adult.
Well, you know, as a child, in my book Dream Girl, I did write about that, but it wasn't really abuse as we know abuse. We're talking about abuse today. My aunt who raised me was an extremely strict person, and she wanted perfection. Had she not been that strict on me, I may not have survived all the things I survived in life. So I don't really like to call that abuse. For me, being very sort of meek, it felt like abuse to me.
What did she do?
Nothing. It's just, you know, in the old days you had doilies, right? And so I had to dust and clean up everything like this. And if I dusted around it instead of picking it up, you know, you saw the little holes on the table. So she made me go back, you know, and if I didn't learn my ABCs.
Wait a minute. You calling that abuse? Dust under the doily?
That's what I'm saying. That's why
I thought it was something physical.
No,
You're calling that abuse?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So that's why I had to stop you, because I don't want my aunt.
But I read about you, and they call that somebody called that abuse.
You know how.
Well, when you were married, it was more than you did dust under the doily, though, right?
This was abuse, okay? And my ex-husband, proud to say, I thought I was in love, and I guess I was in love. I had 3 beautiful children by him, but he was a very, very violent guy. And I think now in his life, he's tamed himself down. He's a pretty cool guy because my daughter just got married last week, and we were all together, and he has definitely matured, and we talked about it, so we got that behind us. But at the time, yes, I was used to everyone treating me like a black, a black American princess. I mean, the guys were just wonderful to me. I had never had anyone who was as rough and who would tell me what to do and things like that. So I went through that for about 4 years, and I finally said, it's enough. No one should live like this. No one deserves to live like this. And it took a lot for me to leave, because I'm brought up in America where, you stay with the family, and you don't leave. I looked at my 3 little children, and I said, they know that I'm unhappy. I know I'm unhappy. Only outlet I had was going on stage. I had something to go to. A lot of women out there don't have anything to go to. They're just the housewives that do the grocery shopping and things like that. So they don't have a chance to see how life should be, really. So I really recommend for people who are in those kind of situations, if they could find other outlets, join a social group, or join this, or talk to someone, because everyone knows. I've had myself with, makeup on my black eyes. I was performing once in Montreux in the late 70s, and I had this huge black eye. And my background singer said to me, do you need any help? I'm like, no, I'm okay. If you can't do that, you really must accept help. And so that's how I got out, my fans and my friends.
What attracted you to this fella? You were treated like a black American princess, and yet you married a man who physically struck you.
But you must say this like black American princess.
Black American princess.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, like that. Okay.
Okay.
Because I married for all the wrong reasons, the way most of us marry.
You married someone who diminished you.
We marry for good looks. We marry for money. We marry because someone looks like they're exciting. I married for all the wrong reasons. But I mean, I did love the guy. I don't say that wasn't there. I love Pedro very, very much. But we're brought up to marry for the wrong reasons. We don't really look inside a person, see what they're all about, and to see if we're really compatible. And no matter what other people say, I think you need to really live with a person before you really, you know what's going on.
There was obviously no abuse during the courtship.
Very little.
Very little, but there was.
You see my eyes pick a little bit.
Yeah, I'm watching those eyes. But there was something. He demeaned you in some way that you found attractive.
No, and that's really.
I'm trying to figure out why somebody who was celebrated as you would pick somebody who. Well,
now you separating me as a lot of people separate people who are in politics, who are career people. You can't separate. This happens across the board. I think it has a lot to do with society. And now we women are becoming more empowered, and we know that, we can earn money ourselves. We're not dependent on someone. We came up in a society where men ruled the household.
But when you got married, were you one of the Supremes?
I was, yes. Okay. I've been a Supreme for 30-some years.
That's what I'm thinking. You've been a Supreme for your whole life. So
oh, my God. No, not my whole life. I'm 52.
Close of it. You believe this? I mean, 50, this is ridiculous,
It's not ridiculous.
Well,
it's wonderful.
It's wonderful. Did I say ridiculous? I meant wonderful. I mean, you're gorgeous. Look at this. I mean, it just goes to show you, I hope when I'm your age, I look something like that.
Oh, you will.
Yeah, thanks. But...
I was a Supreme, but the thing about it is everyone wants to have love in their life. I mean, I think that, to me, my career is secondary to my children and my own family. My career is something I do. It's not me. So it can happen to anyone. It can happen to anyone, no matter what status you're in. So when you meet someone, if they ring your chimes or ring your bells, forget it. You're going for it. So,
but once it started, how long did it take you to get out?
I didn't think that it was real. I thought maybe, he got mad. And it was a different culture. This is something that I think people need to know. Sometimes when you marry outside of your own ethnic group, you don't really know why a person does what they do. You think they're doing it for the reason that someone that would do it for. My husband my ex-husband was Dominican, and I thought that, he had the same background that I had because he was black. But that's not true. Your upbringing, your religious belief, all those things have a lot to do with who you are and how you react. So I was treating him like an Afro-American man.
And didn't realize there was something else happening.
He was something else.
So if he was an African-American man, what would that have meant?
Well, that would have meant perhaps he and I could have connected a little, worked it out because we would have known where we came from. We say, well, listen, you know, I bought that flocked tree because when I was growing up in Detroit, you know, we looked at in the windows of people, rich people's homes who had these things. So I always wanted a flocked tree. So when I bought one, he's like, you know, well, you're supreme and you know, everything is sort of like you're doing it for a show. I'm like, no, this is what I've always dreamt. Now I'm married. Now I'm rich and I want to do all the things I want to do. But he didn't understand that because of his background and mine.
Grandma Sylvia's funeral, she's not she's not Jewish in it, but she's close to Jewish.
Oh, no, but I am Jewish.
You are Jew. You are Jew. We come to, good night, everybody. Good night, Mom. I love you.